Good morning. This is Karen, and I wanted to show you how I created this cute background to go with this Rapunzel that I found on Pinterest. You can find these and print them off. My granddaughter loves this kind of stuff, but I wanted a background that would kindly go with her. So I wanted a watercolor background, so that's what I've got. You want to start with the I cut this a 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 because I want a 5 by 7 card. And then you want to tape it down with painter's tape to hold it down so it'll be flat when we get done. You want to apply a generous amount of water to your watercolor paper. This is a 140-pound press watercolor paper. And I'm going to be using some this is a very cheap set of watercolor paints. They don't have to be very expensive. Then the thing to activate them is just squirt you some water because they will dry back and you don't waste anything. That kind of activates it. And you just start dropping in some color. And that's really, really dark. I want the edges darker. This is plenty. And if you want to get it lighter, all you have to do is add some water. We could take a paper towel. When it dries, it does dry a little lighter, so I think we'll be alright. Here's our green. Start from the corner and come in, so the darkest part will be. And I want more than just a mottled background. I want trees. I want a hill to put our castle on. I have this really cute castle. So get a smaller brush, and then you're going to come in, get a little more concentrated green. Come up here and start putting our tree in right here. You don't even know how to do. You don't have to know how to do a tree. You just have to hint at it, okay? And pine trees are really easy. We probably want a tree over here. Okay. Now, I want some more mottled over here in the corners. So I just kind of scribble it around, really and truly. Now the one thing that I do like to do, I don't have my mat down, so we're going to use this block right here. And while it's still wet, I'm using some of this white distress stain right here. And watch what it does when it hits this water. You just tap it on there, starts lightening it up. I got a little puddle going right here. I think I'm gonna soak some of that up right here. And look what cool effects paper towels do. I love using paper towels. And get some of this lighter going in. And all it's doing is just lightening it up. You really don't end up with white, but it kind of just helps the whole, I don't know, watercolor look. I like it. Now another one that I really like doing, and we're going to define our trees a little bit better in just a minute, but this is the brush pewter. Same thing. Get you some water it down, because what castle would not be complete with some silver specks? And we're going to do some more of this when I dry it, after I dry this, so it'll show up better. Okay? Alright, so now we're going to dry it. So let me pause while I dry. Okay, another thing I did was I wanted sponge sugar, a little pinkish tint to the middle here. So now that it's not all the way dry, it's still a little damp. I want this pink though to be, see how that's pulling out that blue. When I got it wet, it's reconstituting it. So you can work with that, and just maybe a damp brush, spread that out a little bit. I don't know, because we're going to come back and define our tree a little bit better here, because your watercolors are getting a little more dry, so you're going to get a little more definition, thicker, darker. See how you just make your downward strokes for that. It looks like a tree. All you got to do is give the eye a hint that there is a tree there. Whoever's looking at this, they're going to see a tree. And you got to, don't forget, we're going to be putting something on top of here too. This isn't really pink enough for me, so I'm going to put a little bit more in there. And let's see if we can blend this a little better too. Where I got the sky much darker than the other one that I did. Now we blot some of that blue out. Lighten it up a little bit. Alright, we're going to dry again. What did I do with my heater? Alright, now that it's dry, we want to come back in with some more of this white. Almost makes it look like stars in the sky, doesn't it? And we'll come back in with some more of this silver. It's going to show up silver better this time because our canvas is a lot more drier. And before we stamp our castle, we do need to be sure it's dry. Now, you also need to make sure of where your figure's going to be. So she's going to be right here. So I want the castle beside of her. So we do want to be sure this is dry. And it is. So, I'm going to mount my castle. Your blocks are great to use for different techniques, because now we got our castle. Last time I had to stamp it twice because it didn't show up good, so I'm going to stand up good. And I want it right here with this tree. Yeah, I'm going to have to do it twice again. Great thing about clear stamps, you can do it twice, can't you? And now you're going to get out your watercolor pencils, because we got to ground our castle, right? So I'm using, you can use any watercolor pencils, but I'm using Stampin' Up's watercolor pencils. And you just want to have a ground for your castle. It's sitting on a hill. We got some dirt coming in. You know, we got a path where they're walking. I'm also going to kindly, I don't think this is dark enough this time. We'll use some of this brown to kind of bring out this tree a little bit. See how you can just keep adding. And then I've got a watercolor brush from Stampin' Up. And you're just going to kind of blend this in. Watercolor on watercolor. Isn't that just the coolest thing ever? You can just make your own forest and background. See how beautiful that works? We'll do this tree over here. And I did want some highlights in the castle. So I took a white gel pen and kind of go with where, do you see how in the darker spots is where I'm putting the definition of the tree? Like I said, you only need a hint, okay? So I did use, like I said, a white gel pen to add some highlights here to the corners of this. If you get it too bright, just tap it down. Wouldn't hurt to put a few on the tree. Just gives it lots of definition. Then when we add our colored girl, by the way, I colored her with watercolor pencils. And then I'll put my sentiment, and we're done. And when you peel this off, it already has your pretty edge. If you're careful when you're taping it down, you'll have a very pretty edge. I cut it a little bit bigger, so I will trim it down a little bit, put it on my card. I'll have the finished product at the very end. Thanks for watching.